Access varies by gender. We asked men and women focus group discussants to tell us, to account for the time in a 24-hour day. And then we categorize the activities in 4 main categories: non-related cattle activities, cattle-related activities, rest and sleep. For both men and women, activities were similar for the dry and wet season. Then we therefore combined the data. Men spent, the green is the cattle-related activities. Men spent 50% of their time in cattle-related activities, whereas women spent 28% of the time in the same activities. Acceptability in terms of desirable characteristics of an ideal CBPP vaccine, according to men and women. We told the focus group discussants that scientists from ILRI and RIDO were trying to develop a new vaccine, and they were interested to know what characteristics, most desirable characteristics they would want to see in the new vaccine. For women, they said they wanted a vaccine that was less reactive, one that would not make the reduction of milk reduce, especially after vaccination. Another one a vaccine that will not make the tail fall off or cause abortions. Also, they say they wanted a vaccine that was readily available and cheap. They also said that they wanted a vaccine that would be administered at least once every 2 years. Men, on the other hand, said they wanted a vaccine that would eradicate CBP, a vaccine that would be administered once, and also a vaccine that would not cause the tail to drop off, and also no reduction in milk production, and also one that would not cause abortions. So in order of frequency of mention, the most preferred benefits, most preferred characteristics of an ideal vaccine according to women was safe, affordable, and efficacious. For men, it was efficacious and safe. Affordability in terms of willingness to pay. We told the focus group discussants, or we asked them, if the new vaccine was to be produced with the desirable characteristics and that they had listed and made available, would they be willing to pay for the new vaccine? Both men and women said they would be willing to pay for the new vaccine. Women were willing to pay significantly less money than men. Here we see 174 Kenya shillings, which is equivalent to $2 per dose per year. And also men were willing to pay 233 Kenya shillings, which is equivalent to 2.69, and the p-value was at 0.01. So we can see the significance between men and women was quite high. My conclusion, gender does matter in relation to consumer drivers of technology adoption. In terms of access, because we've seen that men and women both benefit from owning cattle, so they are likely to adopt the new CBPP vaccine. Women are likely to adopt women are likely to have lower access to the CBPP vaccine because of the less interactions they have with the cattle because of the time constraints they face. In terms of acceptability, a vaccine that is safe, efficacious, and affordable is more likely to be adopted by both men and women. In terms of affordability, both men and women are willing to pay for the vaccine. However, women are less likely to pay less because they own and control less cattle.
The project is on improving iron and zinc availability through pearls, through agronomic and soil management practices. These are just pearls. 2 pearls we are dealing with haricot bean, chickpea with their seeds. Project team, only those involved in the agronomic and soil management aspect. This is the outline. Well, as all of you know, pearls are the second most important crops in Ethiopia. Particularly, they are regarded as the crops of the poor, because that's a source of protein for the poor, and also they are neglected, although these days they are very important crop, commodity crop, particularly chickpea as export. There is no productivity, particularly farmers, like chickpea, 1.7 tons as compared to the production of research sites. 5.2. So chickpea and haricot being, I say, most important crops. Growing chickpea and haricot bean in rotation and intercropping system increase the productivity. So what can we bring to improve this productivity? What can do farmers? How can farmers increase their production? Or what systems are we going to form? So intercropping is what? It's not new to farmers, but what new can we bring in? Biofortification strategy, we consider as cost-effective approach to improve micronutrient concentration. Awareness, particularly on micronutrients. Why you may ask why we start from micronutrients? Because we find micronutrient deficiency in children, human beings. So we say, why can't we improve these pearls to remove those micronutrient deficiencies in humans?
What happened was population growth, deforestation, and drought-induced soil erosion resulted in decreased yields. They used to get about 10 bags per acre, down to 1 or 2 now. Farmers compensated for this by extensification, so they would clear land at the edge of the village, but they would quickly become circumscribed by other villages who were doing exactly the same thing. The result is that you have a huge scattering of land plots like this, where farmers' land plots are sometimes 6 to 8 hours away from each other. But in the mid-1990s, what happened was the spatial variability of rains changed, so that you have high spatial variability. And now having plots scattered over 6 hours distance is actually good. Farmers, when you ask them whether they would trade this for anything, they go, no, I want my plots scattered, for the very reason that it helps them deal with this high spatial variability. And this is neat. Sorry, the reason why this is great is for 2 reasons. One is it demonstrates how social adaptations happen unintentionally because humans are bad at predicting the future. And second, it's also analogous to the reason why people would prefer egalitarian distributions, just because what it does is it spreads risk over a large number of people within a social network. The final thing that I want to talk about is spite. This really surprised me. I didn't expect to see it. But in the results from my economic games, I see a lot of it. So what is it all about? When people tend to think about egalitarian behavior and resource distribution, they tend to think about, at least from the West, they tend to think about things like self-advantageous, advantageous inequality aversion, which is motivated by things like compassion, fear, and guilt, where you are doing better than somebody else, and so you want to help them, or you feel guilty, or you're afraid of them. But the other side of the equation is an aversion to self-disadvantageous inequality, where somebody else does better than you. And here the proximate mechanisms include things like envy, anger, jealousy, and it manifests itself as spite. And so we can just simply define spite as the willingness to pay a cost to screw someone else over. And I see it. About 20 of my 90 participants that I've done, I'm still in the middle of data entry, place purely spiteful strategies where they're willingly paying a cost to screw other people over. This is observed in my oral histories and anecdotes. I hear some pretty sad things of people poisoning livestock, witchcraft accusations, and it's generally targeted against people who are well-to-do.